Um, well, I mean, with three of them being Zerg, it's obvious that which ones they're going to veto and which ones they're going to choose for the next match. But right now we do have the Auburn Fury FLC Ska spawning as the Teal Protoss in the top left. His opponent spawning in the bottom right as the pink Zerg Sonata. We just saw Sonata take out Coyote in a 2-0 series. That puts Coyote in fourth out of Pool A with Swagger Source coming out first.
Yep, and this map has been played. Scott's played this map already in PvZ. And last time, he did kind of like a really late, he did just like a two-base all-in. He just kind of, it wasn't really an all-in, he just never
He
expanded.
never, you're exactly right. He never expanded.
And it
And
wasn't, oh, sorry, continue.
I was just going to say, and that, I mean, basically, you have no money, you have no units. So,
Yeah, and I mean, there's really the two styles that we were talking about earlier. It's that quick third, it's that third base, you try and go for the late game death ball, or you just try and kind of not ever get to Broodlord Infestor and you go two base Immortal all-ins. And he really just didn't do either. He just kind of had two bases and made units and made Blink Stalkers, but he didn't really all in. He didn't totally commit, but he never expanded either. And so he just kept kind of falling behind. He had some times when he was winning, but then right at the end, it fungals and oh, he has stream on. Ska
Oop.
stream cheating.
I do
No,
have to
just
give
kidding.
him +1 for being honest, though.
Yep, Ska is an honest dude. Know him pretty well in real life. I would never ever expect him to stream cheat.
Yeah.
Be the last thing he would do.
So one thing that he did do really, really well in that match against Swagger Source on Ohana that we saw was he had really good harassment. With
Yep,
those DTs and the warp prisms, and he was locking down the bases. It's just that he was locking down Swagger Source's third and fourth bases while he never took one. So
yep, and it's kind of his attempt. Oh wow, it's not just go straight for a third base. And just like, no, whatever, I'm not even going to deal with that probe and I'm just going to take this third. But he's kind of just, the thing about it is he's not really trying to win the game with DTs. He's really just trying to sit there and make Zerg react so that Zerg cannot just go push in his base and win and then Ska can macro up. Like, Ska can macro behind the harassment. But the problem is really Zerg should just go in and push because the DTs, yeah, they can do damage, but they can't end the game. And the amount of money and investment that is spent on those DTs and on those harassing units just means that the Protoss doesn't have anything back at their base, and Zerg can just counterattack and win.
yeah, I mean with those harassing units, you have to cause a ton of damage to the mineral
Yeah.
line, a ton
And
of damage to the economy, or else you're in a hole.
that's really why Huck has been. I mean, I don't want to say he's been playing like poorly, but he hasn't been performing as well as he used to, because his style used to be, he'd like harass everywhere, he'd be all over the map, multitasking everywhere, and just behind it, he'd just be like, oh, I'm just gonna max out 200, 200, and then you're gonna lose. But that doesn't work anymore because Zerg's realized, oh, he's going DTs, he's going blah blah blah. He spent this much money. I can just go push his base. He doesn't have any sentries because he doesn't have any gas, and you can just win.
Wow, that is a long drone transfer down to the third.
Yeah, I mean, but he did a good job. He just kind of went
Yeah,
ahead and took it.
and he does have his what should have been his second now up, so he does have three bases going. Ska just, doing the standard work on cybernetics core. Nothing out of the ordinary right now from either one of these players. Is pretty much standard, uh, about as standard as PVZ gets. So,
Yeah, Scott is pretty. He plays pretty standard. I mean, I guess the last time he played on this map, it wasn't that standard. And so does Sonata. We haven't seen anything crazy out of him. We haven't seen him, cheese. We haven't seen him all in. No, like, weird strategies. These guys like to play standard, and it's really just comes down to who has better mechanics, who has better macro, who has better game sense, and that's going to be who wins it.
really, I feel like whenever it comes down to nobody cheeses or they basically do just like you said. It's basically build versus build. It seems like it's a gentleman's sport.
Yeah, it's just kind of like, oh, well, no rush 20. Like you do
Yeah,
this, I'll do that,
yeah, yeah, exactly.
and we'll
Back
see
in,
who's better.
yeah. No rush 20. I'll come at you with 200, 200 battle cruiser,
Yeah,
sir.
guys. I don't know if you knew this. The GSL is no rush 20 from now on. It's
That.
actually also on Big Game Hunters or and Bloodbath. Only those two maps. But yeah, and it looks like Sonata. The thing that I've been noticing about all the Zergs in this tournament is creep spread.
Hmm.
Top level Zergs, their creep spread is absurd. It's insane. It's like 10 minutes into the game, you've got creep like in your main mineral line. You know what I mean? It's just absolutely everywhere. And these Zergs, like not to say that their creep spread is bad, it's not on that level. And it's something that they could really improve on. And maybe I'm not the person to talk about improvement as I'm not, I'm not Grandmaster, I'm not a Grandmaster Zerg. But there are things about this game, that everyone knows. Like that's just something you gotta work on. That'll be like there's like once you reach this high level of skill, your macro's good, your game sense is good, everything's good. There are just the small things that you gotta work on. But now we see Sky going for this forward pylon again, this +1 zealot attack, and it's worked before. He's gotten the hatchery before. But this time I think he's backing up. I think he realizes he
Oh
can't
yeah,
win
he's
this.
yeah he's definitely abandoning it. The ship has sailed, and all that's left is the pylon and the probe.
Yep, and that goes down instantly. And I mean, while that's not a huge investment, at least he didn't overcommit to it. And, maybe he's a little bit behind because of it, but he didn't overcommit. And hopefully he turns it around and expands behind it this time. I really don't want to see him make that mistake of not expanding. Oh,
Oh
but he
yeah,
needs to block off this ramp or else he's going to get run by.
yeah, and just now he did have one sentry. Now he's got two more added on to it, and
That's good. That's
looks like
good.
Sonata deciding he's not going to press the issue. He's going to come on back home.
Yeah. And Sonata's doing a good job now. Look, his creep spread is getting started. Maybe he can get a few more queen or a few more active tumors, but he's doing a good job of keeping his injects up. I remember the last time we watched him, his injects weren't the best, but now they're doing a lot better, and that's just gonna make all the difference. His army's just gonna be that much bigger.
Oh yeah, that's it. That's extra larva, and I mean, missing an inject will, I mean, in that, I mean, it just expands exponentially. I mean, you miss it by 2 seconds. Well, now you've missed the next one by 2 more seconds, and then it expands
Exactly.
and expands and expands.
And
So,
it's bad because Zerg and Protoss are so much more unforgiving with those. Terran is so forgiving with its macro mechanic. It's like, oh, you miss a scan or you miss a mule, you just throw it down 3 seconds earlier.
yeah,
But this one, you miss something by a few energy, and you never make that energy back up. It's always
yeah.
going to be eating at you the entire game, and there's nothing you can do about it.
You are exactly right, and I would like to note that +2 ground weapons is already finished for Ska, and +3 already working, so this is going to be a very, very scary Protoss army against a 0-0 Sonata army.
It looks like he's going charge on Archon because he's getting the early charge and he's getting this Templar archives. And it seems like Charge on Archon is such a strong is just like such a strong army. Oh
Oh
no,
yeah.
Scott, if you look in his base, he's got 3 probes follow commanding a probe on his mineral line. It's tiny things like that
Oh
at this
no.
high level of play that are gonna just
That.
put you a little bit behind and just kind of eat away at your ability to macro.
And man, when he finds that, well, that is one of the worst feelings in the world whenever you realize it's like, oh God.
Yeah, and there's no way to figure it out. You're not ever like, oh, I have 30 less, 30 fewer minerals than I should have. Like, no one's that good. Like,
Yeah.
it's so difficult to
And they
find.
don't show up on the I don't think they
Yeah,
show up on the
it
idle
it doesn't.
because I mean they're doing something. They're not
Yeah,
sitting there idle.
oh wow, look at this big army in the middle of
That
the
is a
map from Sonata.
huge army by Sonata. Oh,
Wow.
that stalker, nice blink to get out of there. He needs Oh, but the army doesn't press.
It looks like Ska's doing the same thing. I'm like, I don't know. I feel like he should be trying to take this third
Yeah.
base. He has just not ever tried to macro out of that
Well,
two
he's
base.
got so many he's throwing down so many gateways right now. And he's up to he's up to 12 gateways right now, and he cannot produce off of that on two bases.
Yeah, and wow, I mean, he's just got Sonata has absolute map control, everything. Scott is just forced to stick in his base until he can macro up an army that he thinks can just win off of one push. And that +3 just finished. That's scary. That's
Hmm.
really, really
Yeah,
scary.
this is going to be a very scary army. I mean, Zealots with charge and +3. I mean, your Lings and Roaches are in a heap of trouble.
Now, the only thing I can think that would be just such a good idea for Sonata to do, and it looks like he's switching kind of into this, is to go in Festers because charge routes are good, but they're melee units.
Yeah.
And once you get fungal, you can chain fungal and they don't do anything. And it's
Man,
interesting
he
to
has
note,
so many Zealots.
he really does. It's just this huge charge out Archon all in. And it's interesting to note, Sonata, even if Ska in the late game maybe is like, oh well that didn't work, I'm gonna take a third, he's gonna have to wait 2 minutes to take that third. He's got a
He's-
Ling, yeah, he's got a Ling and creep in this base right here. And it's just
Oh,
really
man.
bad. Oh, and all these mutas flying in the back, nothing there to defend.
Oh, workers dying everywhere. 12 workers killed now. And 13
Oh,
is,
that was a big hit. This is not good for
oh, even
Scott.
more. 21 workers killed. Oh
And
my
he
gosh.
almost he almost got that war prism too. This is just so bad for Scott.
Oh,
He's
and
gonna get the
there's
war
the
prism. There's get it.
war
Oh,
prism.
oh,
Oh,
I'm in a
swing and a
storm.
miss with a storm.
It did some damage, but now oh,
Uh-oh.
this huge
There's
attack
the
coming
big
in from the side.
push.
All everything is out of
This is
place.
not
This
good
is
for
over. This
Shaw.
is game over for
What is he?
sure.
He's going for a base trade is what he's doing. Does he have a probe in the mix? He does, so he will try to lay
Oh, that's
down
good.
a...
Sky, he realizes
Oh,
that's all
oh,
he
he
can do.
can't. Oh my gosh, he can't even lay down a pylon.
He doesn't have any money.
He is
Oh no.
completely bone dry right now.
This is so bad for Scott.
Out of 107, 197 to 116 now.
4,000
Uh,
supply from Sonata. He's been maxed for so long. And look, he's just gonna put down an expansion. And
wow.
there's no way that Scott's gonna be able to kill that in time. He left the two you can't make mistakes like this. You can't leave those extractors alive if you're going for a base race.
So he's just, I mean, so Sonata's going to clean this up, and that's going to be game.
Yeah, I can't see
I
any
mean,
way Scott can win this. Scott should not be running back.
well, he has to. If he doesn't, then all the buildings are destroyed and the game's over.
Yeah, I mean, either way, if he stayed, if he left,
I mean,
this is not looking
there
good.
is, what's it going to be? This last gateway, and there it goes. Game number one,
Game number one comes down to an
going
elimination.
to Sonata.